You're on CYInterview.
I'm Krishandak. Today on CYInterview, over the last week we have told you about why the Capitol Theater, an historical building and part of the arts history of Racine, Wisconsin, should not be demolished. Today we welcome on Racine native Judith Schulz. She is the founder of the Spinning Top and Yo-Yo Museum. Alongside other citizens of Racine, they are working to preserve this great landmark, the Capitol Theater. Judith, thanks for joining us on CYInterview today. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm worried and hopeful. They're about to raise this building on us.
Well, I'm just going to start off by, we've posted 2 articles over the last week on CYInterview about the Capitol Theater, but couldn't you give us a little, I guess, historical overview for our listeners on why the Capitol Theater should not be demolished and what you are doing to make that happen?
Well, this is a 1928 historic theater, and actually in the 20s, and they built lots of theaters across the country, and many have disappeared, due to neglect and not using the same purposes. And this theater is so wonderful. It started out with vaudeville and had silent movies, with the organ music, and went to talkies. In 1930, Les Paul played on this stage when he was 14 years old. And he often said, I'm told, that when in his adult interviews, people would ask him how he got his start, and he would always talk about, not always, but mention that the Racine Capitol Theater was a very important part of his beginning. So that's just one moment of time. And people, of course, have wonderful memories there yet today because this was a theater until 1987. But before that, of course, when it started out, they had dish nights and they had organ music that was played 2 times a day, 11 to 12 and 11 to midnight, and was broadcast over the local radio station. And people could call in or write in and send in their requests ahead, all before the Internet, of course. So it has lots and lots of history for living people as well as people that are of our past generations.
It's Tuesday evening, February 9th. Where are you right now? What is the status? What have your interactions with the city been? What have you asked the city to do, and do you think that you're going to make any progress?
We submitted, it's a nonprofit effort of citizens, and we submitted a development plan last week. Of course, it would have been nice if we had done that earlier, but it all takes time to get these things together. And we submitted a development plan indicating that we have the money to repair the roof and to repair the exterior bricks that would make the building envelope secure. And this is something that they have said for the last 6 months, is that, the roof is going to collapse and this is going to happen and there's problems with the walls. And they're all concerned about their liability, which, of course, is important to everybody. We have the money to fix those things and the money for $1 million liability insurance that we've raised through pledges. So we've met some of the things that they, were criticizing that weren't in place, and they have not returned my calls. We submitted that Friday, and then no one has called me or emailed me from the city all day Monday or all day Tuesday. And yes, time is late, but it's never too late because the building is still standing, and we have a plan. It's a viable plan. We have pledges that have come in from 15 different states. I personally am really quite amazed that people are so in love with this building. This historic building just has a tremendous amount of meaning to many more people than I even thought when I got involved with trying to save it. But the city is just ignoring us at this point, and you would think that, you would think that we could at least get an email from them saying, well, we got your plan, but too late. But not a single response, even though I've called and left emails.
Usually these things are about money, and you obviously have raised the money and put that into a good circumstance. So any reason why you think you're being ignored?
That is a puzzle. We have no idea. All along, the alders, and most of them in public meetings, including the mayor, have made statements of, we wish this could be saved, but it's just too late. And, this was last fall. And now that we have the money to do those things, there doesn't seem to be any interest. I don't know. We don't know. They're going to spend, can you believe this, $200,000 to raise this building of taxpayer money. And yet here we are, somebody willing to save it, try to restore it. It just doesn't make any sense. People really love this property. It is a showpiece when it would be restored. We know that bus tours would come for programs there. People would travel, so it's tourism. That's an economic benefit to the city. And one of the things they criticized in the beginning, or maybe yet, is that, well, a nonprofit's going to buy it. We won't get any property taxes. But this building has 2 storefronts, and it has 3 apartments up on the part of the second floor. So that's income generating, which would pay property taxes. And then you get all, your tourism and so on, all brings money into the city. So it is an economic benefit. We just are really mystified why they are against making this effort when you could redeem a property, make it a showcase, and it isn't just Racine that would benefit. All of Racine County, all of southeastern Wisconsin would have this asset.
Okay, very quickly, just an overview. What have experts said about the condition of the building?
Well, the expert professional building inspector, Mr. Plasky, has been very critical of the building and issued a raise order on it 2.5 years ago. Now, if it was in the bad condition that he keeps verbally saying, it wouldn't have lasted these 2.5 years. We've had an architect with structural training do a 3-visit to the building and do drone photos and evaluations, and he issued a report saying that the building is structurally sound, that it can be repaired. It is in need of repairs. Nobody disputes that, but that it is well built and it is stable. It's not going to collapse. We've also had 2 structural engineers come through. None of these 3 people know each other. They've never worked together. And independently, they've all said, the structural engineers including that, have said that this building is stable. They don't see signs of stress, distress. It's just phenomenal that the city is ignoring these other 3 professionals and keeps standing behind their inspector. Well, he's been our inspector for, he has 30 years experience. I don't know how long he's worked for Racine, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, if he's human, he can make a mistake, and they just will not acknowledge that. He also has not done the report that the Ordinance 1838 requires, where you're supposed to identify what is structurally unsafe before you raise a building.
Finally, where can people find more information to support your efforts, and what can people do at this moment?
Well, we're getting close to how many days, because they're about to start the raise either later tomorrow or the next day. But we have a website, which is called Capitol Theater Racine. It's tricky, though, because it's capital with an O, and theater is ER. So Capitol Theater Racine. It's in Racine, Wisconsin. And there's photographs on there if you want to pledge. Even at this point, pledges, of course, are a safe way to help support it, because if we don't acquire the building and it gets raised, those pledges are never due. But those pledges are the way we've raised money to at least be able to say the city and our group, we can do this. So that would be a good way. There's emails on the website on our page of what you can do now, and an urgent page, and you could send emails to all our aldermen and to our state representatives, to the mayor, to the building inspector, and say, please save this. I mean, this is history for everybody, not just Racine, Wisconsin. These theaters are a rare thing to find.
Judith Schulz will continue to monitor the situation. Thank you so much for joining us on CYInterview.
Well, thank you for your interest. We hope that you will come opening night if we can get this raise order paused.
We shall see about that. Hang on with me.